Language development and learning for infants, toddlers, and twos. This recording will identify appropriate language development for infants, toddlers, and twos. Objective 8. Listens to and understands increasingly complex language. Comprehends language. Infants. An indicator that an infant comprehends language is by showing interest in the speech of others. Example, turns head towards people who are talking. Toddler. An indicator that a toddler comprehends language occurs when they identify familiar people, animals, and objects when prompted. Follows direction. Infants, not yet. An indicator that young toddlers follows direction occurs by them responding to simple verbal requests accompanied by gestures or tones of voice. Examples, waves when mother says wave bye-bye. Toddlers, an indicator that a toddler follows direction is by them following simple requests not accompanied by gestures. Examples, throws trash in can when asked, will you please throw this away? Some strategies to implement in the classroom. Talk often with children using rich language to describe objects, events, and people in the environment. Objective 9. Use language to express thoughts and needs. Uses an expansive and expressive vocabulary. Indicator. An indicator that infants uses an expansive vocabulary occur when they vocalize and gesture to communicate. Example, coos and squeal when happy. Toddler. An indicator that a toddler uses an expressive vocabulary is by them naming familiar people, animal, and objects. Examples, the child says Nana when grandmother comes into the room. Speaks clearly. Young infants, not yet. While other infants babble strings of single consonant sounds and combined sounds. Toddler. Indicator. An indicator that toddlers speak clearly occur when they use some words and word-like sounds and is understood by most familiar people. Example, says no go to indicate she doesn't want to go inside. Strategies. Have the child's attention when you speak. Place yourself face to face at the child's level. Using conventional grammar. Infants, not yet. Toddlers. An indicator that toddlers uses conventional grammar occurs when they use one or two word sentences or phrases. Example, ask more. Indicator 2. Uses 3 to 4 word sentences. May omit some words or use some words incorrectly. Example, says, bed no go. Tells about another time or place. Infants, not yet. Toddlers. An indicator that a toddler is able to tell about another time or place when they tell simple stories about objects, events, and people, not present, lacks many detail, and a conventional beginning, middle, and end. Example, dictates a simple story with few connections between characters and events. Strategies, serves as a good speech model for children. Speak slowly and model correct grammar. Objective 10, uses appropriate conversational and other communication skills. Engages in conversation. Young infants, not yet able to engage in conversations. Young toddlers. An indicator that young toddlers engages in conversation occur when they engage in simple back and forth exchange with others. Uses social rules of language. Infants, not yet. Toddlers. An indicator that toddler uses social rules of language occurs when the child responds to speech by looking towards the speaker, watching for signs of being understood when communicating. Strategies, build on child's language, rephrase what the child says and then add more. Learn as much as you can about the communication styles of the families and the program. Objective 11, Demonstrate positive approaches to learning. Attends and engages. Infants. An indicator that an infant attends and engages occur when he or she pays attention to sights and sounds. Example, watches the teacher walk across the room. Toddlers. An indicator that a toddler attends and engages occur when they're able to sustain interest in working on a task. Example, takes small blocks from adult and continues to drop them in a container. Persist. Infants, not yet. Toddlers. An indicator that a toddler is able to persist is through repeated actions to obtain similar results. Example, repeatedly shakes a rattle to produce noise. Solves problems. Infants, not yet. Toddlers. An indicator that a toddler is able to solve a problem occur when he or she is able to react to a problem, seeks to achieve a goal. Example, grunts when cube gets stuck in a shape sorter. Shows curiosity and motivation. Infants. An indicator that an infant shows curiosity and motivation occurs when he or she uses senses to explore the immediate environment. Example, turns in direction of sounds. Toddlers. An indicator that a toddler shows curiosity and motivation occur when he or she explores and investigates ways to make something happen. Example, enjoys taking things apart. Shows flexibility and inventiveness in thinking. Infants, not yet. Toddlers. An indicator a toddler shows flexibility and inventiveness in thinking occur when he or she imitates others in using objects in new and/or unanticipated ways. Indicator 2. Uses creativity and imagination during play and routine tasks. Strategies. Uses the child's name to get his or her attention. Example, say, "Look, one," as you begin to speak. Help the child stay focused by singing if it's helpful to the child. Example, sing, "This is the way we stack the blocks, stack the blocks, stack the blocks." Objective 12, remembers and connects experiences. Recognizes and recalls. Infants are not yet able to recognize and recall. Toddlers. An indicator that a toddler is able to recognize and recall occur when he or she recognizes familiar people, places, and objects. Examples, recalls familiar people, places, objects, and actions from the past. Example, looks for horse used a few months ago in bin of toy animals. Makes connections. Infants are not yet able to make connections. Toddlers. An indicator that a toddler is able to make a connection occur when they're able to look for familiar persons when they're named. Example, goes to attendance chart with parent upon arrival. Strategies. Use photo and objects to talk about the child's past experiences. Objective 13, uses classification skills. Infants and toddler not yet able to use classification skills. Toddlers. An indicator that a toddler is able to use classification skills occur when they're able to match similar objects. Examples, put one sock with another sock. Strategies. Sing, recite finger plays, and read books that focus on colors, shapes, machines, animals, or other categories. Objective 14, uses symbols and images to represent something not present. Think symbolically. Infant and young toddlers are not yet able to think symbolically. Older toddlers. An indicator that an older toddler is able to think symbolically occur when he or she recognizes people, objects, and animals in pictures or photographs. Example, touches the cow in the illustration when an adult reads, "and the cow jumped." Engages in sociodramatic play. Infant, not yet able to engage in sociodramatic play. Toddler. An indicator that toddlers are able to engage in sociodramatic play occur when he or she imitates action of others during play, uses real objects as props. Example, holds a toy phone to their ear. Strategies. Provide books appropriate for the age and abilities of the child. Point to pictures during story reading. Literacy, Objective 15. Demonstrate phonological awareness, phonics skills, and word recognition. Notices and discriminate rhyme. Joins in rhyme and songs and games. Infants, not yet able to join in rhyme and songs and games. Toddlers, an indicator that a toddler notices and discriminate rhyme occur when he or she joins in rhyme and songs and games. Notices and discriminates alliteration. Infants and young toddlers are not yet able to discriminate alliteration. An indicator that older toddlers are able to notice and discriminate alliteration occur when they sing songs and recite rhymes and refrains with repeating initial sounds. Notices and discriminates discrete units of sounds. Infants, not yet able to notice and discriminate discrete units of sounds. Toddlers, not yet able to notice and discriminate discrete units of sounds. Applies phonic concepts and knowledge of word structure to decode text. Neither infants or toddlers are able to apply phonics and knowledge of word structure to decode text. Strategies. Encourage children to listen to sounds in the environment. Record different sounds for children to identify. Objective 16. Demonstrates knowledge of the alphabet. Identifies and name letters. Infants and young toddlers are not able to identify and name letters. Toddlers. An indicator that tells that an older toddler is able to identify and name letter is they're able to recognize and name a few letters in their own name. Identify letter-sound correspondence. Infants and toddlers are not able to identify letter-sound correspondence. Strategies. Focus on letters as part of meaningful activities. Point out particular letters as you read stories. Objective 17. Demonstrates knowledge of print and its uses. Uses and appreciates books and other text. Young infants are not able to individually use books or other texts. Older infants and toddlers are able to use and appreciate books by gazing at the pages, as well as by bringing a book to an adult to read. Uses print concepts. Infants and young toddlers are not able to use print concepts. Older toddlers are able to use print concepts by showing and understanding that text is meaningful and can be read. An example to identify the above would be a toddler pointing to the words on a sign by the fishbowl and says, "Just one pinch." Strategy. Create a print-rich environment. Include print that is meaningful, functional, and interesting. Avoid displaying so much print that it clutters the room. Objective 18. Comprehends and responds to books and other text. Interacts during reading experiences, book conversations, and text reflections. Infants and young toddlers are not yet able to interact during reading experiences, book conversations, and text reflections. Older toddlers are able to interact during reading experiences, book conversations, and text reflection. An indicator would be a toddler contributing particular language from the book at the appropriate time. Uses emergent reading skills. Infants and young toddlers are not using emergent reading skills. Older toddlers are able to use emergent reading skills. An indicator would be the child pretending to read a familiar book. Treating each page as a separate unit. Names and describes what is on each page, using pictures as cues. Retells stories and recounts details from informational text. Infants and young toddlers are not able to retell stories and recount details from informational text. Older toddlers are able to retell stories and recount details from informational text. An indicator would be a toddler retelling some events or information from a familiar story or other text with close adult prompting. Uses context clues to read and comprehend text. Infants and toddlers are not yet able to use context clues to read and comprehend text. Reads fluently. Infants and toddlers are not yet able to read fluently. Strategy: provide high-quality children's literature. Include picture books and informational books. Objective 19 demonstrates writing skills. Writes names. Infants and young toddlers are not able to write their name. Older toddlers are able to make scribbles. An indicator is the toddler making scribbles or marks. Example: the toddler scribble writes deliberately. Writes to convey ideas and information. Infants and young toddlers are not yet able to write to convey ideas and information. Older toddlers are able to write to convey ideas and information. An example of the indicator is scribble write deliberately. Demonstrates writing skills. Writes using conventions. Infants and toddlers are not yet able to write using conventions. Strategies: provide ample time, materials, and space for children to write throughout the day. You are now ready to add documentation for each infant, toddler, and twos in your care. We hope this guide has been helpful and you feel confident with writing child observations.